Welcome, you focused learner, to the Deep Dive. This is your concise guide to today's most relevant current affairs, specifically for UPSC preparation.
That's right.
It's April 14th, 2025. This is part 1, and we're here to really extract the crucial insights you need.
And some of these topics might ring a bell. We might have touched on them before, so think of it as a useful revision opportunity, too.
Exactly. And if you do find this deep dive helpful in your prep, please do hit that like button and subscribe for more targeted analysis.
Absolutely. So today we're tackling quite a diverse set of developments, all pretty vital for understanding the current landscape, I think.
Yeah. What do we got lined up?
Well, we'll be diving into the strategic implications of the India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor, IMEC, especially looking at the recent renewed cooperation with Italy.
Okay.
And after that, we'll examine a really promising indigenous breakthrough in tuberculosis detection. It's called the ART-Cell MP assay.
Our LMP, right. And that's just the start, isn't it? We'll also look at India's stance on global climate action, specifically this new carbon tax for the shipping industry.
Yes.
And then shift to culture, exploring the legacy of Kathak through the remarkable Kumudini Lakhia, who recently passed away.
And a huge loss.
And then something quite fascinating, the rediscovery of an ancient velvet worm, Typhloperipatus williamsoni, after, what, over a century?
Incredible story, that one. We'll also touch upon China's new anti-drone tech, the bullet curtain.
Bullet curtain. Intriguing name. What else?
Further on, we'll look at the efforts to revive the historic Ramgarh Lake in Rajasthan, get an update on India's own civilian aircraft project, the Saras Mk2.
Saras Mk2, okay.
And discuss the impact of recent forest fires in Mizoram's Phawngpui National Park.
Right.
And finally, we'll sort of unpack the findings of a pretty significant study showing how plant leaves can actually absorb microplastics right out of the air.
Wow, okay. That sounds concerning.
It is. So yeah, it's a comprehensive set of topics, all geared towards giving you that essential edge for your UPSC preparation.
Okay, brilliant. Let's get straight to it then. The India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor, IEE, it feels like this initiative carries significant weight. And this recent focus on India and Italy's collaboration seems quite noteworthy. For our listeners focusing on IR and economic development, what's the core idea behind IME? Why should it be on their radar?
Right. So essentially, IMEC is about building, you could say, a modern Silk Road. It aims to connect India with Europe, but through the Middle East.
Right.
Think of it as a strategic infrastructure network. It combines railways, shipping lanes, roads, basically creating more efficient, more cost-effective trade routes.
And it's official now.
Yes, it officially took shape with an AU signed back at the G20 summit in New Delhi. That was 2023. And the players involved, well, it's a significant coalition.
Who was involved?
You've got India, the EU as a bloc, and then strong backing from key European countries like France, Germany, and importantly for our discussion today, Italy. Plus pivotal Middle Eastern nations, Saudi Arabia, the UAE. And the U.S. is also a key strategic partner in this whole thing.
Right. So this isn't just purely about economics then, is it? I remember reading it has pretty big strategic implications, especially when you look at other global initiatives.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely more than just an alternative trade route. IEEC's significance lies in its potential to, well, reshape global supply chains. It offers counterbalance, really, to China's Belt and Road Initiative, the BRI.
Ah, okay, the counter to BRI.
Exactly. It aims to foster, greater economic multipolarity, maybe reduce reliance on one single dominant player. And importantly, it's closely aligned with the Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment, PGII.
PGII, the G7 initiative.
That's the one. So for UPSC aspirants looking at geopolitics, international economic order, understanding IMEC is crucial. It represents a major Western-backed effort to invest in sustainable infrastructure and connectivity globally.
Geographically, how is this massive corridor actually meant to work? What are the main routes?
Well, the current vision outlines two main corridors. There's the Eastern Corridor, which will establish the crucial links between India and the Gulf region. That's the first leg, so to speak.
India to the Gulf.
Okay, and then the Northern Corridor takes over, extending from those Gulf states up into Europe, completing the chain.
Got it. Now let's zoom in on Italy. This renewed commitment, the recent talks between India and Italy, it seems to underscore a deepening strategic partnership. What's the key takeaway?
Yeah, what's particularly noteworthy, especially for those tracking India's bilateral relations, is this reaffirmed commitment. India and Italy are set to significantly strengthen their cooperation across several really vital sectors.
Like what?
We're talking trade, defense, clean energy, and high technology. This was a central focus during that April 2025 meeting between India's External Affairs Minister and the Italian Deputy Prime Minister.
And this isn't just a one-off meeting, right? There's a sort of broader plan guiding this.
Precisely. This renewed emphasis, it's anchored in the Joint Strategic Action Plan, the JSAP. That covers the period 2025 to 2029.
JSOB 2025-2029. When was that announced?
It was jointly announced back in November 2024. Prime Minister Modi and Italian Prime Minister Meloni met in Rio de Janeiro. So this JSOP, it provides a structured roadmap for diversifying and expanding the bilateral relationship.
Okay. And what specific areas of potential collaboration were highlighted in these more recent discussions?
They covered a really wide spectrum, focusing on cutting-edge and strategically important fields. Things like artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, telecommunications.
The tech side.
Definitely. And the broader realm of digital technologies, too. Plus, there's a strong emphasis on clean energy transition, renewable energy, biofuels, that sort of thing.
Makes sense. Anything else?
Yes. Also recognizing the importance of, people-to-people links. So fostering intellectual exchange through cooperation in higher education and promoting youth mobility.
Okay. So how does this stronger India-Italy relationship feed into the bigger IMEEC trip? What's the synergy there from a UPSC angle?
Right, connecting it back. If you have stronger bilateral ties between India and a major EU member like Italy, that can substantially bolster IMEEC's prospects. Italy is a G7 economy, strategically located in Europe. It's a crucial partner for that northern leg of IMEC.
So practical benefits.
Yeah, enhanced cooperation in enabling sectors, infrastructure development, digital connectivity, trade facilitation between India and Italy can directly contribute to the smooth running and, frankly, the overall viability of IMEs. It makes Italy a pretty pivotal player in getting this ambitious vision off the ground.
That's a very clear link. Okay, let's shift our focus now. Healthcare. Particularly relevant for those studying S&T. This indigenous ERT-AMIP assay for early TB detection sounds like a major step forward against a persistent public health challenge in India.
It certainly holds that promise, yeah. This reverse transcription loop-mediated isothermal amplification, bit of a mouthful.
Or AMIP is easier.
Definitely. Our MP assay. It's been developed by researchers at SCTMST, that's the Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute for Medical Sciences and Technology in Thiruvananthapuram. It's a molecular diagnostic tool. So it's in the same sort of category as existing tech like GenExpert and TrueAnot, but it comes with some key advantages that could really make a difference on the ground.
And what are those key advantages? What sets it apart for diagnosing TB?
Well, what's particularly significant is its high sensitivity and specificity. It can detect the TB bacteria's genetic material, its DNA, even when it's present in really low concentrations.
How low?
We're talking as few as 10 copies per microliter. That ability for early detection is just crucial for starting treatment quickly and stopping further spread in communities.
And I understand it also offers some, practical improvements over the standard RT-PCR tests.
Exactly. Unlike RT-PCR, which needs all those cycles of heating and cooling at different temperatures.
The thermal cycler, right?
Right. This ART-LMP assay works at a single constant temperature. That simplifies the whole testing procedure massively. Oh. It reduces the need for complex, expensive equipment, making it much more accessible, especially in settings with limited resources.
Makes sense. And something about primers.
Yes, it uses 6 primers for amplifying the DNA, compared to just 2 in RT-PCR. Think of primers as specific start signals for the test.
Okay.
Having 6 increases the chances of getting a positive result. Even with a tiny amount of bacteria present, it leads to faster, more reliable detection.
Faster and more reliable. That sounds like a win-win. There was also mention of an improved dye.
Yes, they've incorporated a non-inhibiting fluorescent dye called CETO-16. This is important because some older LMP tests could give false negatives because the dye interfered with the process.
Ah, okay.
CETO-16 overcomes that limitation, so you get greater accuracy. And maybe most impressively, the diagnostic time is slashed. The hard LMP assay can give results in just 10 to 20 minutes.
10 to 20 minutes?
Compared to
the much longer time frames for RT-PCR. It's a dramatic reduction.
That rapid turnaround could be transformative, couldn't it? Especially in, say, community health settings. What's the current status? Regulatory approval, rollout potential. So it's already been licensed to manufacturers for production. It's got the green light from the CDSCO, the Central Drugs Standard Control Organization.
Okay.
Currently, the ICMR, the Indian Council of Medical Research, is doing rigorous validation studies to confirm its efficacy further. And the WHO's Health Technology Access Pool, HTAP, is also evaluating it, pending the positive outcome from ICMR.
So it's moving through the necessary steps. From a UPSC perspective, then, why is this indigenous development so crucial for India's fight against TB?
Well, if you look at India's National TB Elimination Program, the NTP, this ART-LAMP assay, is potentially game-changing. Even as recently as 2023, a big chunk of suspected TB cases in India were still being diagnosed using sputum smear microscopy.
Which isn't as good.
No, it's known to be less sensitive, less effective than molecular tests. Now, while the infrastructure for molecular testing has expanded, there's still a significant diagnostic gap. This indigenous HART-LMMP assay offers a low-cost, rapid, scalable, and accurate alternative. It can help bridge that gap, allow for earlier diagnosis, get people onto treatment quicker, reduce transmission, and ultimately really contribute to hitting those NTT goals.
But truly promising innovation. Okay, let's turn now to environmental policy, another key area for UPSC aspirants. India recently voted for a global carbon tax on the shipping industry. What are the key aspects here we should understand?
This is definitely a significant move. India was one of the 62 member states of the International Maritime Organization, the IMO, who voted in favor. This was at a recent meeting in London. It's the first global carbon tax specifically for the shipping sector.
Okay. For listeners maybe new to this term in this context, can you just briefly explain what a carbon tax is and maybe the different forms it takes?
Sure. At its core, a carbon tax is basically an environmental levy. It's imposed on the carbon content of fossil fuels. The main goal is to make activities that produce greenhouse gas emissions more expensive.
To incentivize cleaner options.
Exactly. To incentivize cleaner, more sustainable alternatives. Now, carbon taxes can be implemented in different ways. You can have an emissions tax that directly taxes the amount of greenhouse gases emitted.
Yeah.
An energy tax is levied on fuel consumption based on energy or carbon content. Then there are cap-and-trade systems, which set an overall limit, a cap on emissions, and companies can buy and sell permits to emit.
Right.
And finally, you sometimes see border carbon adjustments, which put a tax on goods imported from countries with weaker carbon pricing policies.
And what's India's current domestic policy on carbon taxes? Do we have a nationwide system?
Currently, no. India doesn't have a comprehensive nationwide carbon tax system. But it's important to note there have been proposals and discussions about it in the past.
What's the coal cess?
Exactly. Back in 2010, a clean energy cess was introduced on coal production and imports. That functions a bit like a carbon tax, with the money going to fund clean energy projects. And some states, like Tamil Nadu, have implemented their own specific levies, particularly on coal used for electricity. Plus, you have to remember India's broader push for clean energy through things like the National Clean Energy Fund, the National Solar Mission, the Energy Conservation Building Code.
Okay. Now, just for context, could you give us a quick overview of the IMO, the UN body that pushed for this tax?
Sure. The IMO is a specialized agency of the UN. Its main job is ensuring the safety, security, and environmental performance of international shipping. It plays a big role in SDG 14, Sustainable Development Goal 14, which is about conserving and sustainably using the oceans.
And they make the rules.
They set the international rules and standards, yes, but the actual enforcement is up to the individual member states. They incorporate these rules into their own national laws. The IMO also handles other maritime stuff, legal issues, technical things, liability, compensation, making traffic flow smoothly. It was established back in 1948, became a UN agency in 1959, has 174 member states now, headquartered in London. Key bodies are the Assembly, the Council, and various technical committees.
Okay, so India voting yes on this global carbon tax. It signals clear alignment with international efforts on climate change, specifically within a major global industry.
Precisely. It shows India's willingness to engage with and support multilateral actions aimed at cutting greenhouse gas emissions on a significant international scale.
Let's transition now to Indian classical arts, a vital part of our cultural heritage for UPSC aspirants. The recent passing of the esteemed Kathak dancer Kumudini Lakhia. That's a significant loss for the dance world.
It is indeed. Kumudini Lakhia passed away at 94. She was a truly iconic figure, a real pioneer in how Kathak evolved. To really get her impact, it helps to understand the roots and key features of Kathak itself.
Right. Remind us about the origins and evolution of Kathak.
Okay, so the word Kathak comes from the Sanskrit katha, which means story. Historically, it started as a narrative art form in temples. Storytellers, Kathakars, used dance, music, mime to tell religious, mythological stories.
Temple origins.
Yes, but over time, especially during the Mughal era, it transitioned into a very sophisticated court dance. It absorbed influences from Persian and Central Asian traditions.
And the Gharanas.
Right, there are three major schools, or gharanas. Lucknow, known for grace and expressive abhinaya. Jaipur, which emphasizes intricate footwork, rhythmic complexity. And Benares, which often has a more spiritual, devotional feel.
Key elements of the style.
You have the rapid, complex footwork, that's tatkar, swift pirouettes called chakras, expressive hand gestures, mudras, nuanced facial expressions, and dancers wear ankle bells, gungroos, which amplify the rhythms. It's always accompanied by Hindustani classical music.
And the Mughal influence was significant.
Very much so. It brought a new level of sophistication, elegance. Patrons like Wajid Ali Shah, the last Nawab of Awadh, were crucial for its flourishing. And of course, besides Kumudini Lakhia, you have legends like Birju Maharaj, Sitara Devi, Shavana Narayan, Aditi Mangaldas, many others.
Okay. Against that rich traditional background, what were Kumudini Lakhia's unique transformative contributions?
Yeah.
What made her stand out?
She was a true innovator. She really dared to challenge the traditional narrative focus of Kathak. While she deeply respected the classical foundations, she championed the idea of, well, art for art's sake. Meaning emphasizing the intrinsic beauty and power of pure movement, rhythm, form, independent of telling a specific story. Over her incredible 7-decade career, she fundamentally changed Kathak.
How so?
She moved it from being mainly a solo, narrative-driven form into a dynamic, visually stunning group ensemble format. She wasn't afraid to explore contemporary abstract themes in her choreography. She pushed boundaries but kept the essence. Her work brought a fresh, modern feel to Kathak, attracting new audiences, inspiring generations.
And her contributions were widely recognized. Awards.
Oh, yes. Immense contributions. Acknowledged with top honors, Padma Shri in 1987, Padma Bhushan in 2010, and the Padma Vibhushan just recently in 2024. Her passing really marks the end of an influential era in Kathak's history. But her groundbreaking work, her innovative spirit, that will definitely continue to shape the dance form.
Now, for a complete change of pace, let's dive into something from zoology. The rediscovery of Typhloperipatus williamsoni, an ancient velvet worm species. This sounds like a remarkable find for anyone interested in biodiversity and evolution.
It truly is an extraordinary discovery, yes. Researchers recently confirmed the rediscovery of this species, Typhloperipatus williamsoni. It's a velvet worm belonging to the ancient phylum Onychophora. Right. And what makes this so significant is that velvet worms are considered some of the oldest lineages of living animals on Earth. They're often called living fossils.
Just how ancient are we talking here? Give us a sense of their timeline.
Incredibly ancient. The phylum Onychophora has fossil records dating back over 500 million years to the Cambrian period.
Ah, Cambrian.
Yeah, this group predates the diversification of many other animal groups we know today. They survived multiple mass extinctions, including the one that wiped out the dinosaurs. Modern velvet worms still have many features of their ancient ancestors, so they give us this unique window into early terrestrial invertebrate evolution.
But not many species around today.
Relatively low diversity, despite their long history. Only about 200 known species.
And where was this particular species, Typhloperipatus williamsoni, found after being, well, lost for so long?
It was rediscovered in the Shang Valley, which is in Arunachal Pradesh, northeast India, after an astounding 111 years since it was first discovered.
111 years, that's incredible. What's the story behind its original discovery?
It was first found during something called the Abor expedition back in December 1911. The specimens were collected by a guy named Stanley Kemp. He was the superintendent of the Indian Museum in Calcutta at the time. His findings were documented, but then, nothing. For over a century, no confirmed sightings or records of this specific velvet worm in India. Many probably thought it had gone extinct.
Did the molecular analysis of the rediscovered ones reveal anything interesting about their evolutionary family tree?
Yes, the molecular data was really valuable. It suggests that the South Asian onychophorans, like this one, diverged from their relatives in the Neotropics, Central and South America and Africa about 237 million years ago.
Okay, a long time ago.
Very. But interestingly, the study also indicated that the Asian velvet worms don't share close evolutionary ties with those found in Australia.
That's unusual.
It's somewhat unexpected, yeah. Many other invertebrate groups in Southeast Asia and India show clear biogeographic links to Australian fauna. The fact that these Asian and Australian velvet worms aren't closely related highlights something unique about their own evolutionary history and how they spread across the globe.
So this rediscovery isn't just about finding a lost species. It's actually adding pieces to the puzzle of ancient biodiversity and Earth's complex evolutionary history.
Precisely. It provides crucial data points for understanding the long, intricate story of life's evolution and the historical connections between different land masses over vast geological timescales.
Let's shift gears again. Defense technology. China's unveiling of the bullet curtain anti-drone weapon. The name itself certainly suggests something formidable.
It does, doesn't it? China's state-owned defense giant, Norinco, recently announced this. They're calling it the world's first close-in anti-drone barrage weapon. Bullet curtain.
A barrage weapon. What kinds of aerial threats is it designed to take down?
It's reportedly designed to counter a pretty broad spectrum of low-altitude aerial threats. That includes the big one now, drone swarms.
Right.
But also more conventional threats like rockets, helicopters, even cruise missiles, basically things flying low and relatively fast.
And I gather the concept behind it draws inspiration from some earlier, maybe innovative rapid-fire tech.
That's right. The design is reportedly inspired by the metal storm concept that was developed by Australia and the US back in the late 90s.
Metal scrap?
Yeah, the idea there was extremely high rates of fire using electronically primed ammo stacked in barrels without traditional moving parts for reloading. Very rapid fire.
Okay, so how does the bullet curtains approach differ from more conventional anti-aircraft systems we see today?
Well, traditional systems usually rely on what's called point-to-point interception. They aim directly at a specific incoming target and try to hit it with a projectile.
Makes sense.
The bullet curtain, though, uses a different strategy. They describe it as a plane-to-point model. Instead of targeting each threat individually, the system uses multiple rapid-firing guns to create a dense, curtain-like barrier, a plane of projectiles right in the path of the incoming threats.
Ah, a wall of bullets.
That's essentially, yes.
Yeah.
This drastically increases the probability of intercepting fast-moving, maneuvering targets, especially useful when you're dealing with multiple threats at once, like a drone swarm.
What are some of the key technical features, the hardware involved?
It reportedly uses a tightly packed array of 35mm gun barrels, arranged in a 4x4 configuration. This multi-barrel setup allows that extremely high rate of fire needed for the barrier.
And the ammunition.
It uses 35mm ahead ammunition. That stands for Advanced Hit Efficiency and Destruction. This ammo is designed to detonate near the target and disperse a cloud of sub-projectiles like shrapnel, further increasing the hit chance.
So it's not just the guns, it's a whole system.
Exactly. It's fully integrated. It includes radar for detection and tracking, an optical system for visual confirmation, a sophisticated fire control system to coordinate all the barrels, management systems, the ammo supply, all mounted on a 6x6 truck chassis.
So it's mobile.
Very mobile, yes.
Yeah.
Allows rapid deployment. And it's apparently got a modular design, so it could potentially be integrated onto other platforms, armored vehicles, ships, even fixed defenses.
Versatile.
And it can adapt its firing.
Supposedly, yes. A computer system adjusts the volume and pattern of fire based on the detected threats, so it can tailor its response. This sounds like it could be a potentially significant development in countering the evolving drone threat in modern warfare.
It certainly has the potential to influence drone defense strategies going forward. Could have real implications for military engagements.
Let's shift focus now to environmental conservation, closer to home. The efforts to revive the historic Ramgarh Lake near Jaipur. It seems this was once a really vital water resource for the area.
Indeed it was. Ramgarh Lake, it's near Jamwa Ramgarh in Jaipur, Rajasthan. For a long time, it was a primary source of drinking water for the city.
When was it built?
It's an artificial lake, created way back in 1876 by Sawai Ram Singh II, who was the ruler of Jaipur then, built specifically to provide reliable water. And it was pretty big, about 15.5 square kilometers, 2 kilometers wide, 4 kilometers long.
So what happened? What led to its decline and the need for these revival efforts now?
The main problem is that the rivers that used to feed it have significantly reduced flow. There were 4 main ones: Rhoda, Banganga, Tala, and Madhavini.
And why did they dry up?
Largely attributed to increased deforestation and extensive mining activities in the catchment areas of those rivers over the years. These activities just disrupted the natural water cycles, meaning less water reached the lake. Eventually, it dried up.
Beyond just water, the area around Ramgarh Lake has other significance too, doesn't it? Historical, ecological?
Oh, yes. Historically, it hosted the rowing events during the 1982 Asian Games. That was quite a big deal for India.
Right, I remember that.
The area also has the revered Jamamata Temple, important locally, and a well-known polo ground, considered one of the best in the country. Ecologically, the surrounding forests are rich in biodiversity. Nilgai, chital, even lions have been reported there. It was declared a wildlife sanctuary back in 1982.
So the revival isn't just about water, it's about restoring a whole ecosystem and its heritage.
Absolutely. It's crucial for restoring a vital water body, yes, but also for preserving its rich historical and ecological importance for the future. It really highlights that tricky balance between development, environmental protection, and preserving history.
Indeed. Okay, let's move on to an update in India's indigenous aviation sector, the Saras Mk2 civilian aircraft. This project has been around for a while.
That's right. Saras Mk2 is the upgraded version of the indigenously designed Saras aircraft. And we just got news from the director of CSIR, now that's the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research National Aerospace Laboratories.
What's the news?
They're now scheduling its much-anticipated test flight for December 2027.
December 2027. Okay. For our listeners interested in India's tech advancements, self-reliance, can you give us some key details about the Saras Mk2? What's it for?
Sure. It's designed as a 19-seater, multi-purpose light transport aircraft for civilian use. Importantly, it's India's first aircraft in this category.
Developed by?
Developed by NAL, based in Bengaluru, in collaboration with CSIR. It's envisioned for several crucial roles, things like rapid transport for medical emergencies, delivering aid and personnel during natural disasters, and facilitating passenger transport, particularly connecting Tier 1 cities with smaller Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities across the country. So, significantly boosting regional air connectivity is a major goal.
What about its capabilities? Technical specs? What makes it suitable for these roles?
Well, it'll have a maximum takeoff weight of 7.5 tons, an impressive endurance of up to 6 hours, so can cover decent distances. Service ceiling is 29,000 feet.
Range. Speed.
Maximum range is 775 kilometers with a full load of 19 passengers, but with a lighter load,